In 1953 was, okay, in 1948, many of you did most the history of education. Yes. Because if you don't know the history of education, you will not know what will lead, unfortunately. We are going back to the school nutrition program. We check on the song, I will call background alone, because I want just what only. Now, when the Nationalist Party government came into power in 1948, it came with the system of government known as apartheid government, the government of separate development. Now, the educationists then followed suit and crafted an education system that was in line with the philosophy of the government. If you listen to Verwoerd, when he was in Parliament talking about introducing the system of apartheid education, he said, I'm quote, "When I have control over the native education, I will reform it so that the natives are taught from childhood that equality with Europeans is not for them," close quote. Again in the same year, Leroux, also an educationist parliamentarian, said, I'm quote, "Don't give the natives any academic education, because if you do so, who is going to do the manual labor in the community," close quote. I'm trying, colleagues, here to indicate that education is never neutral. Any system of education follows the philosophy of the ruling party. When the nationalist government came with the band education, it did not only implement it in the basic schooling system, even in the tertiary institutions. They passed a law that was in line with the separate development, where they established universities along with the racial lines, because discrimination was, or racial segregation was the order of the day during the Nationalist Party government. You have most universities like University of Western Cape, it was for the Card community, a Northwest University for Soto-speaking people, University of Durban Westfield for Indians, University of Fort Hare for Xhosas, but it did not succeed really to be Xhosa because of the struggle against that. And you name them, other universities were closed universities like Stellenbosch, Rhodes, only the white people were to be there, not any other race. That was the philosophy of the then government. Then the people, those who were oppressed most, they did not like this. Hence they were aiming for the people's education, for people's power. Like you see, colleagues, in any struggle, there will always be casualties, mustn't it? When the people were struggling for democracy in South Africa, they were also struggling for a better education system and not bad education, which was introduced in 1948. And the system of education that they wanted was people's education for people's power. The youth sometimes they touch a because the youth they came with a slogan saying liberation now and education later. And that is what the NECC, National Education Coordinating Committee, worked on to say to the youth, man, no, education now, together with liberation. So let us not postpone education. That was the role of the NECC. Now, if you read what I have written here, if you read the book written by Pam Christie, The Right to Learn, you'll get all these things. And another book is written by Peter Callaway. It is titled Apartheid in Education. For colleagues, here are the pockets of the people's education for people's power. There were school committees then, but with the NECC and in people's education, they came with student, teacher, parent structures to say, man, no. All these people must be involved in the state of governance. This line demonstrates exactly what people were rejecting in the part of education and what they wanted to replace what they did not like. One, the issue of alternative curriculum. They said the curriculum which was designed by the public education system was not a curriculum which was meant to be used. You will know for sure that that curriculum was formed along the racial lines. There was curriculum for whites, curriculum for this race, all that kind of stuff. They said no, alternative curriculum, where they were advocating that we want people's English or people's mathematics away with the curriculum of boundary education system. Number two, student representative council at every school, away with the prefect system. I'm sure you are beginning to see most people's teachers, away with teachers that have apartheid mindset. We are going to go up and you will misrepresent us at school level because the philosophy of the ANC government dictates that we continue with people's education for people's power. People's organs of power replace school boards or school committees with school governing bodies. PTSA, but now we have school governing bodies where students or learners are represented there, teachers, all those components that form a school. Now, working towards people's education, such as with a new conception of education for liberation. Our education system is a system that is meant to liberate us. Now, if you go to Tanzania, there is a concept in Tanzania called education for self-reliance. When Tanzania became independent, they did away with Bantu or with their Bantu education there and introduced education for self-reliance, education that is going to make the Tanzanians self-reliant. This is what we are advocating here, that we must not always produce job seekers, but our education system must respond to creating jobs than job seekers. Number last, access, equality, and redress issues in people education. Away with focusing resources and education consideration in the few learners in affluent schools. Colleagues, this is an honest fact. The issue of funding learners in schools was started long before the ANC took over. But funding was never given to other groups other than the white population. They were fully funded, free education. But with us, you know the story, wasn't it? Therefore, the current government talks strongly on the issues of access to education, equality, and redress. If you talk access, this scholar transport we're talking about is a means to access education to those learners who cannot access education. The equity, that quintiling of schools talks to equity, but not fully. We still have a long way to go. Now, the issue of redress, where we know that at least we have built schools here, let's build them there and all that kind of stuff. Issue of school nutrition program is also another means of accessing education to those poor learners who have nothing to eat. What is expected of you by the communities as principals? They expect from you professionalism, that you do your work as a principal in a professional manner, but understanding the background of education system, that where does this education I'm leading come from? It comes from the struggles of people against apartheid. Therefore, in my school, I will not practice apartheid education system because it is outlawed. Professionalism, what do I mean by professionalism? Now, as a professional, you must always try to do your best in your school and leave a legacy. We are I've taken these 5 questions from the book written by Blankstein. Now, you must build a healthy legacy in your school. Now, this healthy legacy finds their expression from these 5 sentences, or rather questions. Why did I become a teacher? Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, as a principal, you're also a teacher. Don't forget that. And if I was a teacher, ingayingxaki le nto uba ucinga uba abanye abantu bawukhokhela kule utitsha uba awuyazi kwale nto kwawena lo kuqala. Why did I become a teacher? What do I stand for as a teacher? Obviously, I stand for teaching and learning. Now, what are the gifts that I bring to my work? I bring the gift of teaching learners fully. Now, what do I want my legacy as a teacher to be? Ndifuna ndikhunjulwe ngantoni? Ngokungahamba esikolo? Ngokusihamba kakhulu? In other words, you must work for the legacy you want to leave behind when you retire. What can I do to keep track of myself? In other words, if you want to leave a legacy, work for it on a daily basis. If you want to leave a legacy of punctuality at school, go to school punctually every day. Then you'll be remembered by that. As a principal, people know that you're a leader, and you pay the price of being a leader. And the price of being a leader is responsibility. When everybody else at school does not take responsibility of anything or of everything, you take responsibility because you are a leader. I've taken this also from Churchill, that the price of greatness is responsibility. I've already spoken about this. This from Matters and River Sandwich. The last point here, colleagues, is that honestly, there is no institution that can improve without being led. In other words, I'm overemphasizing here the issue of leadership among yourselves, that you become leaders. You lead your schools to success. There is no institution that can ever improve without being led. There are risks and costs in the program of action. Okay. But there's a long range of risks and costs in the comfort of inaction, close quote. Uba wenza into kufuna wenze into. Okay. Yiriski leyo. Oh, sorry. Uba wenza into nawe yoyikayo yiriski leyo. Kodwa yiriski enkulu ungayenzi bekufuna uyenzile. There are risks and costs in the program of action, but there is a long range of risks and costs in the comfort of inaction. Uyabhoxa phaa esitafu ma uyiwe classes ngotisho nawe uhleli phaya uyoyika umasithi madoda ngathi bekusiyiwe. Nawe phofu ujika sowuzofika. Now, we must understand that there are risks and costs in the program of action, but there is a long range of risks and costs in the comfort of inaction. Ngamanye amazwi, be a courageous leader who take on problems. Uqonda uba ndawubruzeka kodwa mandiye kuba ndieshele loo nto. In your school, as a principal, promote a culture, a positive culture. I've taken this from the book written by Pangake and Bennett. It's titled Elementary School Management. They say there, in any school you get one of these 4 cultures. Mm-hmm. In any school. The first type of culture you get in some schools is called a networked culture. It's where the principal is a friend with his teachers or her teachers. They don't care about the core business as long as they are friends. They even reject the visits by the departmental officials because they disturb them. That is called a networked culture. In this school, most principals, sometimes he would get, a shake for bribe because they might, but they don't care about the core business. That is called a networked culture. The second type of culture is called fragmented culture. It's where in a school, each teacher is doing his or her own thing in his or her little corner. But they say in this type of a culture, a teacher who is excelling excels. One who does not excel fails the school because everything is fragmented most here. Ne? Next slide. The mercenary culture. This is the type of, it's a military type of culture whereby in a school the principal is the boss. He rules or he runs the school in a military style. He is a no-nonsense state leader. People say that in this type of culture you will get good results, but this type of culture is not sustainable because people are not alive. Abanye abantu babelieve ubashawute nabantu izibasebenza, abanye babelieve kuloo nto. Bathetha kodwa kwenziwe. Xa ingenzi umcharge. Nditsho mna ndithi mna, I'm not going to show a donkey face. If one is not doing his or her work, I'm going to charge him. Akunideki ukuthi ukhazana nabantu bakhwaza abantu. Thetha nabo bayawazi umthetho. Into yona xa ingenzi wenze wena. Uact ngale bayengayenza. Okay. The last type of culture is communal culture. Next slide. Yeah, communal culture. This is the type of a culture whereby there is high level of commitment among teachers. There is high level of commitment. There are good results. Everything is fine. Now, my advice to you is that you must strive for the communal culture in your school. Deal with other negative cultures because they will not take us anywhere. Next slide. Colleagues, urgency of doing things now. When I arrived to the Department of Education on the 1st of April this year, this is the slide I showed them in my retreat with all the managers of this department to say to them, there is urgency of doing things when? Now. That is my slogan. Doing things when? Akusheshe. Akusheshe. Nobumuntu akayithandi loo nto ndithi kodwa no noba uthandi mna kodwa awuthini akusheshe. In order for us to deliver quality education to our communities. I've taken this from Martin Luther King Jr., my favorite author. He was rallying the Americans to the urgency of doing things when? Next slide. Courageous leadership. Sendi church legale. If you are a principal who is a coward, at least you must go with your cowardice to the teachers whom you fear and instruct them to do what they're supposed to do. Because they're employed to do that, have courageous leadership. It is told in Mochi, class class uti, be a pie staff, Motibukwala bam, the carpet. Only the pie staff. What's the chance of a guy? The fear is clear as your teacher. Here's the Shibu Kualabam Uzo. Touch book or Habas Uzo was Ufunani as a principal. Yeah, I've summarized this. Courage is not the absence of fear, but it is to go along with your fear and do what you are supposed to do. Singamagwala song. Kodwa kukuzincama icourage uba le nto ndibheshela ukwenza le nto mandiyenze. Imake qonda uba bendithe kuni. There will always be consequences for what you are doing. You must face the consequences after that or thereafter. Screw it, let's do it again. There is a quotation that says, for every act there is a consequence. Close quote. For every act there is a consequence. Action just do it. There are consequences for that. If you go to class every day, there is a consequence for that. For every act there is a consequence. Next slide. You know, I like this. I've taken this from the book written by Joe Williams. It is titled The Kanimambo, Mozambique. Thank you, Mozambique, in their language. Ne? Yes. Williams says, by avoiding things you fear, You let fear govern your life. It is often wiser to stand up, walk tall into a fearful situation, risking the bruises and hard knocks just because it is the right thing to do. Because I have to go there. Now, you are likely to find that the situation is not as tough as you thought, or you may find it very tough. You will, however, discover a new and braver you. You will always discover that in other words, colleagues, even no usithi into endiyifumene ICC indenze ndaqina. Next slide. You know, people in your village, they expect time management from you. Ngabantu posi society, you give me to exit office, and you feel at desk already. But the Bible, you are we pay your give me. So please correct that. Next slide. You know, as a principal, there are times when you must evaluate and introspect yourself and your teachers and what you are doing at school level at given intervals. These are the questions you must always ask yourself with your teachers. Where are we now in this second order? What is wrong in our school? Where did we miss it? That is called a needs assessment. What does my school need? Take into account these questions. Principal who must lead the effectiveness and efficiency of your school. Number two, where would we like to be in the future? How best can we move forward? That's planning. You plan. You first identify your needs, you plan, you implement, and you evaluate. That must be your modus operandi at school level. That is what is expected of you by those communities. And indicate as well the learning levels of their children. Next slide. Colleagues, I'm about to finish now. Supervision of your staff. There are people who are afraid of supervising their subordinates. Don't be afraid to supervise your teachers, because when you supervise them, you are likely to come across these four behavioral patterns of teachers, which you can correct. I've taken this again from the book written by Glickman in Pankak and Bennett. They say that when you supervise your teachers, you'll identify that in the staff room there are dropout teachers. What are dropout teachers? Self-explanatory. Are those teachers who are there at school, but they will never go to class and teach. In other words, they are not there whilst they are there. Isizathu ke songayi eklasini mhlamba baphathangado khonto bayana eklasini useuhleli banabantwana kabangephumi nanto akhethi kungayi. Now you can only identify those teachers when you supervise them. The second cohort is called unfocused teachers. These are the teachers with high level of diligence, commitment, but they have low abstraction. In other words, they go to class every day and teach, but they have poor results. Because they are very committed, but There is no focus on this, what is called the core business, curriculum content. The third one are analytical observers. Those ones are called armchair critics. They have high intelligentsia, they have high level of abstraction, but low level of commitment. They criticize the principal and oh, I take our principal. No, those are called analytical observers. Lead them. And the last one are professional teachers. The next slide. Yeah, self-explanatory. You must create professional teachers in your school. Next slide. You know, colleagues, this is just the message that I'm giving to you. To say that you must understand that in order for teaching and learning to happen, recognize the centrality of a teacher in the teaching situation. You must always rally your teachers around the teaching and learning because it is the right thing to do. You will never have good results if there are teachers who go the opposite direction. Next slide. Oh, good. You know, these are my last slides now. Some fundamentals of a new leader, or of a leader. There are only 12. I've taken this from the book written by Jocko Willings. It is titled Leadership, Strategy and Tactics.
Okay.
As a leader, be humble. It is an honor to be in a leadership position. Your team is counting on you to make the right decisions. Hey. Number 2, don't act like you know everything. You don't. The team knows. Ask smart questions. Afuna ukucheck abantu bazintoni sungathi uba expose bazinto ithi nje uzawumbomba akazinto lo kodwa ungabuka ikhazi lo. Listen, ask for advice and heed it. If people give you advice, listen to that. Treat people with respect. Naba bakufuniyo. So sometimes it is good to know that but as a leader, don't act galonto. Don't listen to that. Because sometimes even people who tell you are also telling lies. See, Tiganiswa by common objective, that is teaching and learning. Lead it through thick and thin. Don't listen to that, it's over now. There are no more interviews for this program. Take ownership of failures and mistakes. Hey, that one is very, very important. Take ownership of what? On Wednesday, when the music arrangement in Mthatha was a chaos, I consulted my boss, then I took a decision. I knew that the decision I was taking will have its own risks and costs, but I had to take it in the best interest of teachers and learners. Sometimes this decision pass credit for success up and down the chain. Those teachers who have done well say, well done. You still have room for improvement. Language, positive language. Next slide. Next slide, yeah. Work hard as a leader. You should be working harder than anyone else in the team. No job is beneath you. You must work very hard. And the community must see that this principal is working very hard, because you are employed to work hard, harder than anybody else at school level. Xa kuthiwa makungalalwa iba ngokuqala ungalali kusenziwa loo msebenzi ufuna wenziwa. Uyakubeka abantu abasebenzi goduke wena. Have integrity. Do what you say what you do. Don't lie up and down the chain of command. Sunyuka usehla. Yenza lento uyithethayo ngimihla nabantu bazokwenza lento uyibaxela yona. Be balanced. Be decisive. When it is time to make a decision, make one. Build relationships in the staff and also with the community. Lastly, get the job done. The very last slide, of worth noting. Positive thinkers get positive results because they are not afraid of problems. Deal with problems decisively in the best interest of effective teaching and learning in your school and good results. Teacher high school. Azithandazelwa kuphela results. Yabona xa uqala ngomthandazo ube ngathi shabona. Hey baba. Awuqale kutitshe because uThixo sekunikile amandla okutisha ne. Awunoyicela leyo. Cela leyo ungenayo uThixo. Colleagues, in your journey as principals of schools, I wish you all the best, and I commit the department to give you unwavering support. Thank you so much.